Forests in many areas of Greece supply the wood that is considered appropriate for producing wood charcoal. This wood can be taken from trees such as the kermes oak, the mock privet, the oak, the holm oak, and the berbery. These are the trees that the coalmen usually choose to cut down. The wood is cut in 1 meter long pieces and loaded on mules with the help of a Y-shaped rod that supports the load until it is securely tied. The wood is then carried and unloaded at the edge of a level treeless space which is called aloni, threshing field. The kilns will be set there and will turn wood into charcoal. The size of the aloni is relative to the number of kilns that will be set. From the spot that will be the center of the kiln, they measure the distance to define the kiln's circumference. This is where the first pieces of wood are fitted on the spot that will be the kiln's center. These pieces are shorter and are placed in a circle so as to leave an empty space of around 40 centimeters in the center, which will go all the way to the top, and another one in the base and towards the periphery, which will connect to the vertical one. Then they place larger pieces around, repeating the process up to the predefined circumference, making sure that the diameter of the two holes remains the same. In the process of placing the pieces of wood, the kiln acquires a conical shape, which grows larger depending on the amount of wood that will be used. After all the wood has been placed, some 30 tons, the kiln's surface must be covered with a 10 centimeter layer of hay all the way to the top. When the hay is evenly laid, it is covered with soil, which will act as insulation to keep oxygen out and heat in. Hay, on the other hand, prevents the soil from coming in direct contact with the wood. In all stages of the process, Coleman pays special attention to the two holes remaining open and unobstructed. When the soil covers a meter or so over the base, they place horizontal pieces of wood around, forming a large circle, which they call zonari, belt. Its role is to support the soil that will cover the kiln above it, leaving small holes in intervals for ventilation when the kiln is lit. The kiln is now ready to be ignited. The fire must start exactly in its center, so they use a long piece of wood, which is lit at its end, drive it to the center through the horizontal hole and ignite the kiln. The charring of the wood now begins, which will be fully successful only if the fire burns steadily in its center. This is achieved by the absence of oxygen in the rest of the kiln, which the soil keeps out. Oxygen only enters through the hole in the base and reaches the center where the fire is burning. The heat that develops spreads to the entire kiln and, as it is trapped by the soil, it begins to dehydrate the wood. We now see smoke coming out of the ventilation holes. To keep the fire burning steadily, they feed the kiln daily with wood from the hole on the top and then shut it again. This process is called taisma, feeding. Full charring of the wood takes 20 to 25 days, depending on the kiln's size. The kiln then loses part of its bulk. Once the charring has been completed, the kiln must be opened. They shove the soil away until the charcoal is revealed, which now comes in contact with oxygen and is in danger of igniting and being destroyed for the most part. This is why they quickly put it out with water. After that, they cover the coal with wet cloths, which will prevent the big nylon sheet with which they will cover the entire kiln from burning. Now they cover the nylon sheet with soil all around so as to keep the oxygen out in order for the kiln to be completely extinguished within 3 to 5 days. They then uncover it and leave it open for 4 to 5 hours to cool. The charcoal is then put to sacks, which are weighted and placed at the edge of the aloni until merchants transport it to the market for sale. Such a kiln produces some 7 tons of charcoal. This work is very unhealthy because of the dust and fumes that the workers inhale, as well as tiring as it requires many hours of hard and strenuous work. Moreover, the continuous and uninterrupted supervision of the kilns forces workers to stay there, some with their families, in temporary hutments and in quite harsh living conditions.